Welcome to the Whiskey Vault. I'm Daniel Whittington, Chancellor of Wizard Academy Whiskey Marketing School, Level 4 Whiskey Sommelier. Today, we're going to talk about, you just got into whiskey. How do you try a whole bunch of whiskeys without buying a whole bunch of bottles? You steal, but I'm just kidding. That would work, yeah. Okay, so this is a real thing. Say you stumbled on this channel because you tried some whiskey and you loved it, and you're like, oh, what can I learn about this, and how do I try more things? And then you buy a whiskey, or you're somewhere at a friend's house and they pour you a whiskey, and you're like, damn, this is good. And then you go to the store and you see the price point. And so you end up just drinking the same things, but you kind of want to explore. But do you really want to spend $100 just to explore one different whiskey? And what if you don't like it? And how do you learn about malt versus bourbon versus rye versus Scotch versus Irish? It's a problem. It's not a cheap hobby. So I'm going to give you 3 base ways, and then we're going to explore them after we talk about the whiskey. So the good news is, just to up front, the good news is you don't need to start a whiskey cellar collection. You don't need to drop thousands of dollars on whiskey right out of the gates just to find out if you like something. Don't worry about that. 3 paths. There's multiple, but there are 3 specific ones. Path 1, the bar. The bar already did the job of buying all the bottles for you. And now you can come in and taste their whiskey. That should be an obvious one, but you'd be surprised at how many people are like, oh yeah. So in your town, and this won't work for everybody, in your town, look for a bar that has a decent whiskey selection. And by decent, I mean if they've got 20, some bourbon, some Scotch, some Irish, some rye, that's enough to start. You don't need the most famous, you don't need Jack Rose in Washington, D.C., or, the Brandy Library in New York. You don't need the world's largest collection. You just need a little bit of diversity. It can be blends, it can be Johnny Walker, it can be budget bourbons, it can be budget ryes, it could be Jameson. It doesn't matter. Your only goal at the first point is just to try a bunch of different things in small pours and then learn. 2, tasting groups. So in most cities of a reasonable size, there are whiskey clubs. All you have to do is go and look at like Whiskey Club Atlanta, Whiskey Club, LA is too big, Whiskey Club Fort Worth, there are plenty. And matter of fact, there's one called Drammers that has a whole bunch of locations all over the US, and there are many like that. The Plano Whiskey Club, a bunch of our friends are in up in Dallas area. Join a club and it'll have things like either everyone brings a whiskey and you just have to bring one, or it'll be like, hey, we have a guest who's giving us a guided tour of XYZ and you just get to show up. There might be some member dues, sometimes no, but you get to explore all these different things and even more importantly, learn about the whiskey. 3, whiskey friends. It's always good to have friends. And as you start exploring in a certain category, you might find either people that you know in your life who are like, oh, you're getting into whiskey? Oh man. Hey there you go. Now you have the oldest and most underrated distribution network for whiskey, friend groups. We'll talk about all of them in a little bit more detail, but first remember, building a palate and understanding whiskey isn't about owning it, it's about tasting it, and there's lots of ways to do that. So, Tullamore D.E.W 12-year-old. This is one of their age statement markers. What I love about the Tullamore line is, unless it says single malt or pot still, Tullamore is the one that does the blend of all 3 styles of Irish whiskey. So that is the single grain, which is column distilled grain whiskey. It's pot still, which is the Irish style unmalted barley percentage. And it is single malt, which is 100% malted barley in a pot still. The 3 styles of Irish whiskey, the 4th being a blend of any variation. Jameson is pot still and grain. Bushmills is pot still and single malt and grain. Tullamore is all 3. Now they say on their 12-year-old that it's a larger proportion of pot still and single malt, but there's still grain whiskey in here. And they aged this in ex-bourbon cask and Oloroso sherry. I like Tullamore. I've always been a fan of it. Let's dive in and see. Oh yeah. Citrus and almonds. Amaretto, some like sort of light stone fruity, very buttery and soft. Very fruity. It's very much pastry fruit. It's in my head right now because I just made the drive past Huruska's from Houston and had kolaches like only a few days ago. And so kolaches are on my brain, but it reminds me of that really nice doughy bread and the fruit, jammy fruit middle of a kolache. It's got actual character. It's got actual tannic structure. It's a nice darker sweetness, but with a hint of lighter honey drizzled fruits sort of floating through there. It's really well balanced. Tullamore 12, man. Underrated by people who just think of Tullamore as the entry-level Tullamore, which I also like, by the way. But this one's nice. It goes down simple, but not boring. It's got multiple flavor profiles, but they're all playing together as one cohesive unit. It is a well-balanced, very well-blended product. Daniel E. Williams. What are the odds? Daniel Williams. I'll let you fill in the dots. I like it. It's very good. It's a real, it's very Irish, very easy drinking, very buttercream and then some dark fruits and some amaretto and hazelnut type direction, a little bit of citrusy zest. It's everything that you want from a good Irish whiskey. Rock and roll. So first, learning more about whiskey at a bar. There's a couple ways to do this. If it's a real whiskey bar, okay, let's back up a little bit. If it's just a bar and they have some whiskeys, tread gently. We talked about this on one of the episodes about how to order whiskey at a bar. Don't make your desires extra effort for a bartender who's busy. That should just be a rule in life. But like, if you see they only have like 5 whiskeys, don't be like, would it be okay if you blah, 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 and you got 8 people behind you, and they're like, no, it's just pick a whiskey, order it, neat, be done. Walk away. Now, this is the nerdy part. Take notes. Unless you feel embarrassed. But that's what, everyone's on their phones these days. Take notes on your phone if you have to. No one will know. They'll just think you're texting. I used to bring a notebook and a pen. That's super nerdy. But if they're not busy and they have a reasonable whiskey collection, ask the bartender whiskey questions. And they'll be like, oh, I'm not actually a whiskey person, but this person over here, she knows everything about whiskey. And bring her over and then ask her questions. Hey, what do you know about this? What should I try about this? I had this. I liked this. What do you recommend? Oh, if you liked that, you should try this. Man, when a bartender is not slammed busy and they have a little moment to breathe, one of my favorite things as a bartender was when someone said, I love this, what do I do? And it was in a territory where I knew things and had passion. And I'd be like, oh, let's go on a journey. I've gotten so many free pours by just talking about whiskey to a couple people at the bar with the bartender, and we all nerd out, and the bartender's like, oh, try this. Oh, it's on me. And then you tip real well. If you're by yourself and you can't have a conversation, but they offer it, look for flights, right? So look for a bar that does flights. Like, hey, here's 3 scotches in smaller amounts. Here's 3 Irish, or here's an Irish, and so on. Flights are a great way to try a whole bunch of different things. And again, take notes. Listen to other people, ask questions at a bar. Second, tasting groups. Tasting groups, they do the work for you. Either everyone brings in whiskeys and you get to try everything, or a rep comes in and pours, and I talked about this already earlier. It really gives you exposure to things you would never probably have gone out and sought, especially when a rep shows up to talk about things. Go to like whiskey liquor stores that have a whiskey selection and ask about local clubs. Go online and Google local clubs. Talk to whiskey bars in your area about, do you know of any local whiskey clubs? Sometimes bars have whiskey clubs. And it's just a great way to get connected and try a whole bunch of different things. Third, whiskey friends. I don't understand, actually I do, why this is the most overlooked one, and it's the easiest one, because it's also not easy, because finding friends as an adult is hard. In school and college, you're all jammed together and you're forced to be friends. And then you end up having really great friendships. As an adult, you live your life. And if you want real friends, it's either because you brought them along with you and they knew you before, or because work put you together or something. But it's just really hard to make friends. And especially when you need it to be focused specifically on, like, let's make whiskey drinking friends. One easy shot is join the whiskey club. You'll find people you like hanging out with. But if you start talking to your existing friend group about your whiskey exploration, there's a very real chance you might find a handful of people in your group who either already knew about whiskey or would love to take that journey with you. And you don't have to do it alone. I created a small whiskey tasting gathering group. No, I didn't create it. I was a part of one that was me and my dad and 3 of our friends, and like once a week or every couple of weeks we would get together at my dad's house and we would all bring a bunch of whiskey and we would try things. You just meet people. So curiosity is contagious and you can bring people along with it. I hope that helps, but you do not have to buy a crap ton of full bottles of whiskey just to find out you don't like smoky scotch, right? Go to a bar and try things. And also, you are going to end up buying a lot of whiskey. Inevitably. You'll find something at a bar you love, you'll go buy the bottle. That's fine. Don't let anyone shame you for that either. Anytime someone hassles me about how much whiskey I have in my house, I always ask, how much do you spend on golf? Every golfer who plays regularly that I've talked to spends 3 times as much money as I do on their hobby. And immediately I stopped feeling as bad about how much whiskey I buy. I look at one of the rounds, I'm like, oh, you played a round at a really nice club in Austin and you had drinks after. And yeah, I could have bought 4 bottles of whiskey for what you spent on that one round of golf. Not to mention your golf clubs and your pro training, coach and whatever, your app and yeah. Anyway, don't let people hassle you for your hobbies. Everyone needs a hobby. Cheers to you. I'm really glad you're here. Look, you can learn more about whiskey here, but you can't drink more whiskey from here unless you've figured out something no one else has figured out, in which case, please share. In the meantime, like and subscribe.